Roval's a dangerous place. It's probably the biggest wild card.
It's time to Roval!
You can definitely get yourself in some trouble pretty fast.
You're certainly put in a box when you're racing there.
This is one of the most difficult tracks that NASCAR races at.
It'll be just like it is every single year. It's a crazy race.
You have to kind of expect the unexpected.
The big rule is always the same rule. Don't be yourself today.
Your playoff hopes can go up in flames pretty quickly.
All those drivers you just heard from in the Xfinity Series playoffs, and today they face the Roval in Concord, North Carolina. Practice and qualifying for this afternoon's race for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. From Charlotte Motor Speedway, I'm Dave Burns alongside Steve Letarte and Dale Jarrett. And as the guys pull out, we'll hear from Kim Kuhn down on pit lane a little bit later. They will finish a 20-minute practice session here. Have just a bit of a break before they go into qualifying mode in two groups. But right now, DJ, everybody on course for the first 20 minutes of the day.
I think that's the key. You just said, reiterate that everybody is on here. This isn't split into A and B groups right here. It's go get what you can, as much as you can, and much as you want to be on track. But, you know, traffic could become an issue. And we've seen a lot of times you lose because somebody either gets off course or has an issue with their car, and that takes away a little bit of your time.
Steve, as a crew chief, you're going to tell your driver, please don't put dents in the car, but get everything you can out there between everyone who's going slow.
Well, get everything you can, and the other big challenge is this area right here. So the actual oval gets cars on it a lot over the course of the year and stays pretty clean. But this infield section, no matter how hard NASCAR and the track workers work to prepare that infield section, I think it's going to be dirty and slick for the first 5 or 10 minutes. So while I'm listening to my driver, the first 4 or 5 minutes here, DJ, is really about you reminding yourself the lefts, the rights, the braking marks. Don't worry too much about the grip in the infield. I think that's going to improve as we run. At least that's going to be my theory when you say it doesn't drive good.
Yeah, improve over what it is. It's still not going to have a lot,
that's
as
right.
we've seen over the years.
It's going to go from ice to gravel, kind of.
There's John Hunter Nemechek. He goes down now into the new restart zone, Steve. This afternoon's race is going to be very interesting as they'll punch the gas coming through the final corner.
Yeah, we've always seen them start kind of on the oval. Now we're going to use the road course itself right here between the two white lines. So basically it starts here and it finishes there. So it's going to be real interesting to... I don't know how it's going to look. I'll be honest. I don't know how too wide is going to work through there. I think it's going to kind of single thread them out, which is the goal in general, to not have them 2 or 3 wide when they get down into turn 1.
I think somebody was having a bad day when they came up this side. I don't know. We'll see how it works. Definitely going to be interesting, and I'll assure you that all the Cup drivers in tomorrow's race are going to be paying attention as to how this goes today.
I can visualize like row 1, 2, and 3. What I can't figure out is row 7,
Yes.
8, 9, how they're going to work their way through.
Yeah.
John Hunter Nemechek, of course, already through to the next round with a win in this round of 12 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He'll move on. Justin Allgaier as well is through. Cole Custer is in on points. Those are the only 3 guaranteed right now.
But those 3 guaranteed are still racing. So just a reminder of the rules, right? Playoff point, 1 awarded to win each stage, and then there's some awarded to win the race. And that will still fill your bucket in the round of 8, which is really the toughest round. We're going to go from 8 to 4.
There's that win for John Hunter Nemechek in Texas.
Yeah, a little different color. The black and white tailed number 20 there.
Gets around Parker Kligerman there, who was oh so close to closing the deal. Instead, it was the young man who has now won 6 times in 2023.
Yeah, and he wants to finish on a high note. It's good to remind everybody that he's been announced to go to Legacy Motor Club next year in the Cup Series. And
yeah,
it's going to be a little different on Sundays.
Definitely. But, you know, once again, the series is doing what it was designed for, what it was put in place for in 1982, is for that opportunity for drivers to showcase their talents here and then move on to the next level.
And I think a lot of drivers, Dave, are looking at John Hunter because let's remind the fans, this is a driver who moved all the way up. He was in the Cup Series, reset back to trucks, which then got him this job in the Xfinity Series, which now has propelled him back to the Cup Series. So much like Parker, who had his chance, came to TV and then back into the thing, you know, I think John Hunter older, wiser, more experienced. Every time I talk to him about Cup, he doesn't tell me about everything he once did. He tells me about everything he's learned since he was once there, that his approach is going to be very different.
Father of 2 now. He's got a lot of maturity underneath him as he moves up. Father of 4 right here. Austin Hill, he is the fastest on track. Just got passed in fast lap time by a couple of cars, but Austin is pretty good on points, plus 44 to the cut line coming into this afternoon's race. He's not a guarantee, but he's in a decent spot.
So we're going to talk all day long about how this race runs with the stages. Stage breaks were eliminated for most of the season. And what I mean by that, points paid but no yellow thrown. Here at the Roval, the cautions will be thrown once again, so there'll be actual stage breaks. That does change the strategy. So when I look at the 21, Dave, you kind of alluded to where he is in the points. For the 21, I think it's all, DJ, about qualifying in stage 1. If you qualify in the front 2 or 3 rows and you can finish in the top 5 of the stage, while you won't mathematically advance, your probability goes through the roof that you're automatically into the next round.
So as a crew chief, Steve, how does that change your perspective on the race and calling the race?
So, you know, I don't think I changed the setup in the car, but I do think I have a serious conversation about how our whole weekend is this first 20-minute practice, our qualifying session, the first 20 laps of the race. Let's not worry about the second half of the race later today. Let's try to come here, get job 1 done. And then I would tell my driver, if you do that, handcuffs are off. Go win the race, but score me some points first.
On board the workstation of Parker Kligerman. Here's a lockup. Coming off of oval 4.
Man, there's a lot of smoke out of that left front tire right there.
And I think Parker, when I look at the playoff standings, his resume glows as the driver who should have the best chance around that cut line. But I wonder, DJ, if that's not too much. If the pressure of he and everyone in the garage knows it's his resume. All the talk is Parker on the road courses.
Yeah.
So does that, become a little bit more difficult? Did you see the bottom right, the map itself, heading down into turn 1? This is a left-hander here for Parker.
Yeah, but I look at the body of work that this driver and team have gotten so much better from the beginning of the year that I think they're just on a big high here. Yeah, this is, this fits right into Parker's resume and pedigree, and we expect him to do well, but he also knows that is, and I'm not sure. I think that by now, going through, what he had to do to even get himself in the playoff, I think that pressure, it might be a little bit off right now, and he can just go do what he does best here this afternoon. There is one thing that I don't want him to start challenging, and that's a record that I think Daniel Hemrick and myself did in this series for a long time, and that's the number of second-place finishes before you get that first win. So hopefully he can make that happen much sooner than later.
You see Parker, he's going to downshift 3rd, back into 2nd. So it's a 2nd gear in the backstretch chicane. Right out of this, he's going to be probably instantly back up into 3rd. I think the RPM was going to climb quickly. There you go, 3rd gear. I think we need 4th.
Yeah, no doubt. No? I think you would.
No, it stays 3rd gear. Yeah. I thought the same thing.
Which is not a bad idea right there, especially if you're not racing someone.
Yeah, so what you're saying is, even though you might only grab 4th for just a second, if it doesn't hurt your lap time, eliminate it up and it down.
That's
by
right.
Just kind of breathing it and let it ride against the chip.
That would be my case. Now, he's a really good road racer. In my case, the fewer shifts I could do was better off.
Well, you say that, though, but Dave, all the way back in the Jeff Gordon days, back in the 90s when he was so dominant at the road courses, I worked on that team. And one of the big advantages he found was fewer shifts and shifting in the right spot. So he would if he's accelerating, he wants to be pulling. He doesn't want to be in the gas, falling back in the seat, pushing from 2nd to 3rd.
Yeah.
He would say, man, that would be a really easy place to miss a shift.
Yeah.
Now all of these guys practice this so much. But 20 years ago, there was only 2 road courses on the circuit.
Yeah.
And there were 8 this year. That was a record for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. This is the final road course of the year after 7 others have been run. Chicago street race winner, Cole Custer, right here. You also saw, as you were looking at Parker Kligerman, 1 point below the cut line. So he's the first man out entering the show today. On the bubble is Daniel Hemrick. Custer, you mentioned at the start of the show, in on points, guaranteed, moving on to the next round.
Is it just me, or is Justin Allgaier every single different type of track that we've been to over the last 15 weeks, I think it seems like, or races, that he's at the top of the board in practice?
Yeah, Justin Allgaier is the Denny Hamlin of the Xfinity Series. Everywhere we go, he's great. And much like Denny's still looking for that first championship, which I think shocks us all because he's so good at Phoenix. So it's going to be interesting. Custer, I spent some time with him. I actually saw him at Corey LaJoy has a charity kickball event this week, and he was kind enough to donate his time and come play on one of the teams and look good on the kickball field. We talk a lot about his season. It was interesting as he kind of reflected on it. You know, it took him a little bit at the beginning of the year to just remind himself what the Xfinity car felt like, mostly the tire size, the thicker sidewall, and how it moves around. Then once he got it figured out, they had that hot streak in the summer. And he said overall, he goes, I know this is crazy, but the series in his mind has never been deeper. First through like 12th or 13th, he goes, man, you have to run really, really well consistently just to run inside the top 5.
Steve, how are you in kickball? Grass stains or glory?
I'm a coach, so no grass stain. But back-to-back champion.
Better yet.
I actually would like to say I got kicked off one team because a retired driver couldn't be on the said sponsored team of Celsius, but we went to championship as gold medal as well, so it was a good day.
This is the said driven car of Boris said. He will round out his NASCAR career right here if he doesn't get knocked out of the way by Blaine Perkins. Steve, the story behind him getting this ride with Hendrick Motorsports is pretty cool.
It is so good. I called Boris and I said, all right, let me know how this happened. He said, well, I called Mr. Hendrick for an engine because I had an opportunity to kind of run another car in the field and I want to put a Hendrick engine in it. And Rick said no, and he kind of shocked me. He goes, man, I've known Rick forever. And Rick said, man, you like Christmas? He goes, yeah, but I don't understand. I need an engine. Just answer the question. You like Christmas? Yeah, I love Christmas. He goes, well, I'm going to give you an early Christmas present then. Why don't you come drive my 17 car? He said yes very quickly and hung up before he could change his mind. And now he's in this Hendrick 17, which wasn't scheduled to run this week. So
that's right.
It's just a great, you know, Boris is a car dealer in the Hendrick camp, so they do a lot of business. Right here, though, he's going to remind himself what it's like in full contact NASCAR.
Yeah, it looked like we had one to go in the race right there. But
well, Perkins thought he had room there, and unfortunately, Boris didn't get the word that he had a nose in.
Boris did ask me, though, DJ, you'll appreciate this. He said, hey, there's only one class, right? Like, I don't get scored different at 61 years old. Like, is there like a pro-am class?
Yeah, but he's a lightweight when it comes to age. He's like the 15th oldest driver ever to race in the Xfinity Series. So he doesn't even make that list at 61.
He's not even close to setting a record.
Well, he should be good today. And again, he has said this will be it. And what a way to go out driving for Mr. H.
And that paint scheme. I think there's a lot of special things going on within that team. Oh, boy.
Oh.
Sheldon Creed always providing action on the track. He is +9 to the cut line going in today, so he's nowhere safe. He's got to have a good day.
See how Dave did that?
Yeah.
Always providing action. That's the politest thing I've ever seen a guy say. He hits a lot of stuff.
We'll see what he can do.
Whoa, boy.
Yeah, he's a little out of shape there. Chandler Smith, fellow playoff driver, looking for a way by there. Wow. Got no grip.
This is where it's one of two things. We either need to come in and work on the car, or you need to slow down. And I say that, I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say that, but the truth is we're either that far off on setup, or I just need you to take a breath and keep the rear tires underneath this thing. Cam, how's it going on pit road?
Well, Steve, let's talk setup, because a number of drivers have said they could use more front grip. The front gives up too easy on the banking, so the fact that you have to set your car up for both the oval of Charlotte Motor Speedway and the infield road course, how much compromise are you having to make on this race car setup?
Well, there is a ton of compromise. Not so much the speed. We have basically the same top speed at Watkins Glen on the backstretch. We see some fast road courses, Coda. There's some really high speed areas. It's the banking. So now you're going fast and the car's getting squished into the banking, which means you have to have enough front spring or enough front bump stop to keep the splitter and the car off the ground. You can't run as much camber as you would like to have for the car to do everything it should do through the infield, because you'll blow a tire loading it in the banking. So it's a big moment of compromise from driver to crew chief and really tire life to try to make sure you don't abuse the tires.
Yeah, and that's something that Goodyear has recommended to the teams as far as the minimum air pressure that they would like to see, especially in the front tires, and that's mainly because of the banking and the amount of time that the cars and drivers spend on the banking of the track.
Yeah, versus like say a Mid-Ohio or a Sonoma, a lower speed road course, you need way more air pressure in the front tires for sure for turn one up on the banking, not to kill a front tire.
Yeah, and it makes sense why they might be talking about losing the front on the banking part of the track here.
Myatt Snyder in the green treetop Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. He'll race for the 5 remaining races this season. Good chance to see what he can do on the road course today. And pursuing him, Daniel Hemrick. He is the guy on the bubble for the playoffs. Kannapolis native, right down the road. He'll try to do his best today to make it through the next round.
Yeah, Myatt's a good road racer.
Oh, yeah,
too.
sorry,
Does a
DJ,
great job. Yeah, he doesn't get many chances, but he takes advantage of that a lot of times, and he gets really excited. And Hemrick's got a big day, Kim.
That's right, and I checked in with crew chief Alex Jans before this practice went green, and he said the team is in a great mood despite being only 1 point to the good. I asked how much they're leaning on teammate AJ Allmendinger. AJ not in this field. He's going to be running the Cup race tomorrow. However, he's won the last 4 straight Xfinity Series races. He told me that Daniel spent the entire day yesterday with AJ, picking his brain, asking him all sorts of questions about how to attack this racetrack. So leaning heavily on the 4 straight winner of the Charlotte Roval.
Someone smoking out of the backstretch chicane. That is not good news for the driver of the 53. That is Connor Daly.
Connor Daly, I saw him also at the kickball. Great attitude.
Fine, but yeah, it's a bit weird.
DJ,
lots of smoke out the back.
I don't want to say it, but remember those shifts we talked about? The ups and downs. Although that's in an area that I would imagine it would be a pretty straight shift, but that definitely looks like an engine issue unless it's just a line.
Yeah.
Kim.
And confirms that on the radio, missed a shift. No other issue there besides that.
All right, so missed a shift. Where we was in the banking should have been either a second to third or a third to fourth. So you miss the upshift. You basically go to pull the car into gear. It doesn't get into gear. 2 things. It either doesn't get into gear, which normally doesn't break the engine. It just kind of revs a little bit. Or the old third to fourth turns into third to second. So you got to remember, Dave, when you're pulling from third back to fourth is on the right side. So
back memories I don't like.
The Xfinity car is kind of old school when it comes to the transmission there, the H pattern versus sequential with the next gen car and Cup.
Well, and to complicate, 00 did right there. Remember, a lot of road course races for these Xfinity cars. Most of them run the same car or one of 2 cars all the time. That type of abuse late in the season makes me nervous.
8 road courses in 2023. That's never been the case. Only 6 next year with the schedule changes just announced this week with all 3 national series. So that'll be a little bit of a breather if road courses are not your thing, DJ, but still quite a few. You better be good on them.
Why did you go to me with road courses not your thing, Dave?
I nodded a little.
No offense taken, I'll assure you, though.
I want to ask you as a driver, though, because it was. Back in our day, there was a couple of them.
Yeah.
And some excelled, some didn't, but everybody just kind of moved through them.
Yeah.
Now, if I look specifically in the playoffs, there's a couple road courses in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think as a driver, DJ, just throwing your hands up and saying you're not good on them anymore is not going to be accepted by these owners. As a crew chief, I'm going to say, okay, that's fine, but what are we doing to get better?
Yes.
I got to make the car better, but you're going to have to look in the mirror and figure out what you have to do to get some more reps.
Yeah, whatever it is, if it's more time on the sim is one thing, but the other side of it is where can you go get some on-track activity to make yourself better? Where can you get that help that you need that's going to make you better? So you have to do everything as a driver because there are so many opportunities.
Sage Karam chasing Riley Herbst on track here. Herbst had an interesting weekend last week. The Xfinity Series was off. He had a Cup Series ride, guys, and boy, did he use it to almost perfection on the big track.
Man, this was so much fun to watch him perform at this level against drivers that he's not accustomed to racing with all the time. But there was a lot of praise put his way after this race was over from drivers that ran good, drivers that won the race. Right here, the push that helped Ryan Blaney win this race right there was from Riley Herbst, and he had himself in a great spot. Yeah, it didn't turn out great because as he got through the tri-oval, he got a little bump there, but he did a fantastic job in impressing people out there that are looking to who that next star might be that they can put in their Cup car.
There better have been a gift basket. Something.
Yeah, I said, a
little
more than that, yeah.
Here's the guy we talked about earlier, Justin Allgaier, so strong. There's the last 4 races, it's either been Nemechek or Allgaier in the win category, so he's hit the hot button at the right time.
And I think that the big key when you talk about, hey, winning and advancing, if I'm Jim Pullman, the crew chief of this car, I'm not going to allow us to get into that mindset. I want us to attack every single race. I can't take a week off. Yeah. We had a week off. Last week we didn't race. That was the time to relax. Now we're back at the racetrack. Now I might not have prepared as much for the Roval as I would have for races for next round, but when we are here at Charlotte, we are here to win the Roval. We aren't changing our mindset. We're not it's kind of like match play golf. As soon as you think your opponent's out of play, they'll hold a chip or something, and next thing you know, you're eliminated. If I'm the crew chief of the 7, I'm pushing like we have to have a great day.
Yeah, and this organization, I'm not just going to go with this race team right here, the 7 car. This organization realized that not quite halfway through the regular season that we lack speed. We're not in a competitive mode here. And Dale Jr. went in and changed that. I'm giving him credit. I don't know that he deserves there.
We'll give him credit.
Somebody has to, so why not be the owner of it? But they have made a big, huge turnaround. The speed that all of their cars have brought to the track since that have made them much more competitive and put them in a championship mode and that mindset that you have to have.
Well, without getting too deep into it, Steve, there was a rule change. They had to learn how to make their cars fast again. They had the old way figured out. They had to work on this way.
No, I agree, but I also think they looked at that for a lot of the reasons that they weren't fast enough. And I think that was true at some tracks, but not at not all tracks. And I do think the mindset has definitely shifted. And as we shift to qualifying, one thing to remind everyone is much like the restart zone, there's also a different line that we will use to time the cars in qualifying. This is the middle in the banking of NASCAR 3 and 4, the oval track. That white line is the alternate start-finish. It's purely there to allow guys to run less laps. You go out, you basically take the green there, you finish there, and you can come to pit road. So it can almost eliminate a lap on your tires, because if you are fortunate enough to advance, it'll be the same set of tires for the final round. So great cars hopefully will only run one-time lap.
There's a lot for drivers to have to take in here today and think about instead of just going and driving.
Oh, for sure.
And we mentioned it before, 42 cars for 38 positions. So qualifying will be very, very important. Practice speeds may be an indicator. Justin Allgaier on the top.
How about Alex Labay? Every time we come to a road course, he seems to find something. Cole Custer, while he's 4th on the fast lap, I think in race trim, he looks like he has the best overall pace lap after lap.
Both of Sam Hunt Racing's cars are in the top 10. And Sam Mayer from Junior Motorsports, he is 5th in single lap times, Kim.
That's right, and comes into this elimination race minus 34. But the good news is you've won 2 of the last 3 road courses. However, this isn't the typical road course. So does being good at a road course automatically mean you're going to have strength here at the Roval?
Yeah, I just have a lot of confidence going into these races, and I think that our cars are really good. Obviously, the 7 at the top of the board shows what this company has. So we just kind of got to do our job and do it right. We have one goal in mind, and that's the checkered flag at the end of the day. And being top 5 in practice, going about 90%, I think that's pretty good. I think the car's as fast as Xfinity 10G. It's just a matter of keeping it clean at this hectic racetrack.
What's the most challenging part about group qualifying?
I think just making sure you don't get like someone on your toe. Like, you want to be able to have a clean racetrack. So just having Kevin up on top of the box, or on top of the roof, I should say, make sure I get a clean race, clean track positions, should be all right.
And finally, a couple of years ago, you did win at the Roval in Trans Am. Does a win in a different series here help your confidence level here this afternoon?
Yeah, I think I just got everything going for me. Like, obviously having a win here already, having solid finishes here. Ran really well here in 2021 when we were not running for the points. So we're going to pretty much playing that same strategy. So we just got to go out there and do the same thing.
Sounds like things are tracking in Sam's direction here today.
Again, Sam, 5th quick in single lap time, 2nd quick in 5 lap averages. So the one car showing very strong in the 20-minute practice session this morning. Also strong was the 91 car for DGM Racing, that of Alex Labay, and Alex was 2nd quick. Still holds the best finish for this organization, 4th here at the Roval back in 2020. And just a little family business here. Help for Ian. It's a GoFundMe page that Mario wanted me to mention because Ian Landry is a personal friend of his and also a sometime team member. And after helping the group out in Sonoma earlier this year, got involved in a huge accident and is paralyzed. And so if you want to go check out Ian's stories, maybe help out, maybe send him a kind message on that page, they would sure appreciate it. And again, Alex Labay in this car, 2nd quick in practice today. Now, also speaking of family, we know 3 weeks ago we lost a dear friend, Sherry Pollux. Her face and her legacy is all over the 24 car for Sam Hunt Racing today, and we thought you'd like to hear from her as well.
I don't feel sad for my disease and what I have. I don't have any hard feelings towards the fact that I ended up with this disease, even though I know how deadly it is, and I live with it every day. I feel blessed that I got this disease because it put me in this position to help other people. And so what I tell myself every morning when I wake up on the days I don't feel good, or if I do get down about my disease, or those worries and fears always creep in of, you know, how long am I going to make it past that 5-year mark? I think to myself, the only thing that I really care about in this life is the legacy that I leave behind. And for me, that legacy is going to be helping others. And there's no greater joy for me in life than giving back to other people. I hope one day when I'm not here that my legacy, not just through NASCAR, but just in my life, is that not only was I kind and gracious to other people, but that I, you know, I left a legacy of helping others and helping them through one of the hardest times in their lives. And I had people that did that for me when I was going through my battle, and I hope to be able to do the same thing for other people as they're going through theirs. So, yeah, there could be no greater legacy than giving back to me.
Drivers, start your engine!
Again, Sherry Pollux succumbed to complications from ovarian cancer 3 weeks ago. Steve, we'll miss her a lot. We already do. And that Start Your Engines from Bristol a couple of years ago, that was so true, Sherry. She was in recovery mode at that point and came and just shocked everybody and made everybody smile again.
Yeah, I mean, what Sherry was able to accomplish and the awareness she brought, the money she raised, the lives she touched, it's a great lesson for all of us to kind of use a little bit of reservation when we think the challenges we have, DJ, right? Because she had all of that in front of her, and you heard her in her own words talk about how she looked at it as an opportunity. It takes a very special person. She'll be missed.
Yeah, she talked about her legacy and what she hoped it would be, and it's far more than even what she hoped. The people she touched, one of the kindest, strongest people I've ever known in my entire life. And, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You know, I don't care if you're in the racing business, you're trying to win races, you're trying to be successful at whatever you do. The best thing that we can do is try to help others. And she was always thinking about that and had other people as she was battling this. And yeah, it's unfair, but she didn't look at it like that. She used it as a platform to help others to where they could get through. Going to be greatly missed.
Kim, you're with Sam Hunt, who owns this racing car and provided the opportunity for this tribute.
That's right, Dave, and I know how passionate you are about this paint scheme and that Sherry was a personal friend. Why was this important this weekend to honor her?
You know, I think a lot of people have helped me and done a lot of things for me that have gotten to this team where they're at now. You know, Fuzz Bergdorf, who's a lead shop mechanic for Sam Hunt Racing, is Sherry's brother-in-law, and he's married to Jill Pollux, and their family's become really important to me. And, you know, this idea started out with, you know, how can we pay a tribute, get a decal on the car, and I think the special thing was everybody we went to about this idea was all in and wanted to make it happen and pull everything else off the race car. And I think that's just a testimony to who Sherry was.
And Sherry was known for her perseverance, her zest for life. How does what she went through put into perspective what you do each and every weekend?
Yeah, I think it just gives you real life perspective. It's easy to get so caught up in this bubble and the work and what the workload is that, you know, it stinks that it takes something like this to kind of bring you back and set you back and force you to see perspective. But, you know, I'm lucky to be doing this. I really shouldn't be in this position, but a lot of great people have made it happen. So if we can use it as a platform to help others, then what's more fulfilling?
Good words from Sam there. Sherry's dogs are on the car this weekend as part of this wrap here. Charlie with 2 E's and Gracie. They were her good friends to the end there, and they have a home, which was their home a lot of the times while Sherry was still with us. That was with her brother-in-law, Fuzz Bergdorf, who's the car chief on this car, and her sister, Jill. They have a couple of Labradoodles, and they always had the labs over. And so they're good friends. They're now a family of 4 dogs. Fuzz told me yesterday how blessed he feels for him and Jill to have these dogs. And Jill is going to continue to run sherrystrong.org. That will continue. You can visit them and donate to the cause if you choose to, but just know that that's going to continue on. So Sherry's legacy will remain with us as she wished. So let's make the turn to qualifying next for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at the Roval.
If you're a driver not locked into the next round, you are fearing for your championship run.
There it is, turn 1. They pile up. That's a hit. 7 may have gotten in the back of the 8 car there. Harrison as well.
Gonna put a 3 wide right here.
Will he be able to do something?
Got him.
Oh, there's more contact. Oh!
Keep coming right. Keep coming.
Payback.
We've had everything today.
A lot of cars getting together, just fighting for spot, and look at Riley, just nowhere to go.
Drove a great race, drove a smart race.
Chase Briscoe wins in Charlotte.
3 years ago, I was sleeping on couches, volunteering at race shops, just trying to get an opportunity.
A.J. Allmendinger will easily win. They call him the Dinger. I've got a new nickname. Call him Rain Man.
For the 3rd time in a row. Still undefeated.
Dinger's house, baby.
That's right, 1 Chase Briscoe, then 4 A.J. Allmendingers, and now they are not in the race today. One of these drivers is going to move on in the playoffs and hopefully take a win home today.
Well, we talked about Austin Hill. Chandler Smith also, I think, is going to be protecting points. Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed in that awkward position of what is the goal today? It's to advance, but how do you get there? And then I really think from Creed all the way down to probably Burton, I still think you can think about points, but for Barry and Mayer, it's going to take victory lane, I think, for them to advance, DJ.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And, you know, it's sometimes whenever your picture is clear, even as bad as that may look and sound, you know what you have to do, and it kind of opens the door for you to go try to achieve that.
In just moments, qualifying will come up for the first of 2 groups. In the second group is Parker Kligerman, and Kim's caught up with him.
That's right, Dave. -1 to the cut line. I asked Parker how his practice session went. He said a little bit on me to catch up. So what does that mean specifically? What do you have to do out here?
Well, I just haven't been here since 2019, Kim. So, you know, I think it's just a little bit of you can do as much sim as you can, but you're trying to correlate that, and in 15 minutes or so, you know, I got to get up to speed pretty quickly. There's a lot of tire falls, so I felt like in terms of the timing sheets, we would have been further up if I, you know, just got a little bit more out of the car in the first few laps. So I think we're better than where we were in practice, 12th ever. I think on the long run, we looked pretty decent. So we'll make some tweaks here, but everyone at Big Machine Racing is doing a great job on this Spike Light Course Chevy. It's so cool to be in these Xfinity Series playoffs in this position. I love the idea of, like, every lap matters. Everything we do right now is so important, so intense. You know, hopefully we can go out here and qualify and be as fast as Xfinity 10G. If we do that, get ourselves solidly in the top 10, score stage points most stages, find ourselves hopefully at the front towards the end, and go steal one of these.
You've talked a lot about how much this means to owner Scott Borchetta. He is here today. He's actually here for qualifying. He's going to be here for the race. Does that add an element of pressure? Does it actually add motivation? What does that do for you having him here today?
Oh, I love it. It's awesome. You know, it's so cool to see how enthusiastic about it he is. You guys saw at Kansas when we made it, how excited he was. So it's just so cool to have his support and obviously to have him enjoying this experience with us and being a part of it, right? And being down in the trenches and seeing the good and the bad. And, you know, it's a process. We're trying to disrupt this series, break into the, you know, against some larger, more established teams. And I think we got the group to do it, and we're going to show it today.
We'll see what they have here today. That's Parker Kligerman.
Green flag is out for the first group, Group A, on track now. And the first to take advantage of that and roll off the 44 of Rajah Caruth.
It's interesting. We heard Sam Mayer. You know, we talked a lot about the combo of the infield and the banking. He talked about kind of the slipstream of the draft, that he thought there would be some advantage maybe if a guy could actually get a little bit of a tow. I wouldn't have thought there was that big of an advantage with the small spoilers on here at the road course, but at least was on his mind.
Steve, they are exiting very slowly. Green flag is out, as I mentioned, so tire conservation to get around to the green flag?
Yeah, but remember, the green flag doesn't start until almost the end of this first warm-up lap, so you want to take a little bit of time to get the tires up to temp. But it looks like the 20 of John Hunter Nemechek being pushed behind the wall. We'll have to get an update exactly what happens, but they will not qualify. Now, the good news is they've won and advanced. So while this brings the anxiety up for the challenge ahead of trying to win today's race, this just reminds everyone what a win did. That win at Texas will mean that you know, this is just a little bit of a hiccup, not an absolute panic moment, which would be the case if they weren't already into the next round.
They're pretty relaxed down there. 54 playoff points heading into today's race. John Hunter told me yesterday, I want 7 more. That'd be a race win and sweeping the stages. It's going to be a little taller task now.
Oh, we're hearing it's an oil leak, perhaps out of the base of the engine. So these cars are a little different than what you imagine. There's an oil pan that you can't see, and then an oil pan kind of cover, so they might have to put it up, start disassembling it. The question is, can you get to it with it in the car with all the cross members and all the complications? We'll have to see if they can get that repaired. I saw you checking your watch, DJ. It's going to be short. If they have to change the engine before the race, it's going to be a hustle. That's not something they practice as much as they used to.
No, yeah, used to be in the Cup Series, you know, you would change engines. And during the race, going way back, you know, if you had an engine problem, you could do it during the race. So they got where they could do it 15 or 20 minutes, which was incredible. But these guys aren't prepared to do that, really. It's not something you expect to happen.
Alex Labbe in the 91 for DGM Racing. Mentioned it before. Best finish for that team was right here, 4th in 2024. Alex, and talked to him yesterday. He is pumped up. He hasn't run the whole season this year. He's run about half the races. Glad to be back behind the wheel with this race car.
And I like what Blaine Perkins is doing, kind of chasing him. I think Blaine has accepted that Alex Labbe is probably going to be a little bit quicker. But having that rabbit out there, DJ, we talked about how you get better at the road courses. Do you think that helps having somebody out there to give you an idea where your braking marks seem to be?
Oh, there's no doubt that can be. If you're careful, though. We saw him get his left side tires off in the grass there. So sometimes you get to focus on that so much that you forget about looking exactly where you need to be on the racing surface, and staying on there is, obviously is the best thing that you can do for traction.
23-year-old Perkins back there in the yellow car only has 6 road courses to his credit in his career, so he's got some learning to do.
It can also be a little bit difficult if you're trying to, you see someone that's as good as Alex out there in doing this, and he starts pulling away from you. All of a sudden, you start pushing a little bit more and a little bit more. You find yourself making a mistake.
That lap from Alex is top of the board, and Perkins jumps in there right behind him. Now almost a second off, but faster than Parsons and Raja on the 44. Now the 91 comes to pit road, but remember, he can continue to run. Unlike an oval track, 1 lap type situation, this is time. You can run as many laps as you want.
Boris said in the 17 was 34th of the cars that took time, 42 of them in that opening session there.
For Boris, and we mentioned 42 cars for 38 spots. He's going to have to find his way in on time.
And we mean by that, the cars that don't run full time have fewer attempts, are needing to out-qualify several. It's a little bit complicated, but we will let you know by the end of qualifying where things stand. 4 are going to have to go home.
Coming to the green.
We see the 17 slow on the apron, which is interesting.
Yeah, it looked like as he went through the chicane on the back straightaway there that I don't know if he missed the corner, but he didn't have any speed as he was going through there. It looks like Boris might be having a little bit of trouble getting up to speed today.
Yeah.
See Austin Hill, you heard the radio there coming to the green. He's taken it, and he's in the green compared to Labbe at the top.
So this is all infield section, which is mostly second gear. Very little shifting, but really slick. We joked about the amount of grip. It's really easy to get in trouble in this infield. This is kind of the longest straightaway right here. Heading back over, I think this is going to be turn 5, the right-hander. And then this is way more elevated than you think. Cresting that hill in turn 6 and 7, you cannot see 7-8 combination. It's totally blind turning back to the left. You saw it well there as the car kind of went out of sight. That's going down. I didn't know there was elevation at Charlotte until they put a road course.
Yeah, exactly. Had no idea through the years. Now, I go all the way back to where there used to be a pond out here in the middle of the infield. Kyle Petty and I used to spend time there as our dads was racing around here. But, yeah, goes back a long way.
That goes way back. Nice reference to Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the innovators in racing through the NASCAR years. They've done a lot of firsts here, and the Roval was just another iteration of that. You hear him hitting the chip there.
So I saw Parsons do this. So remember, this is kind of interesting. The start-finish line's in the middle of that corner. So for a normal lap, when you leave the backstretch chicane, you climb the banking.
Yeah. And
you kind of keep climbing the banking because it allows you to enter the front stretch chicane with a good angle. But because you're only running to that line in the middle of 3 and 4, they actually enter the chicane and run the apron as long as they can just to shorten the racetrack, make the most direct route.
Most dramatic thing we saw at the end of practice was the 20 car being pushed away from the grid. Kim?
And we heard oil leak. They're not going to make a qualifying effort here. So, John Hunter, can you offer more details what happened? And was the car giving you any feedback to indicate there was a problem?
I was struggling with rear grip, and we started changing some things. It didn't really get better, and then when we came in and sat there about to do qualifying adjustments, we saw that we had an oil leak. Our Mobil 1 oil is supposed to stay in the race car, not leave it. So we were trying to get our Toyota GR Supra as fast as Xfinity 10G. We weren't quite there yet, but these guys are going to work hard. It's nice being locked in, not having to worry about this, not having to stress, and now we can play some strategy to get back to the front through stage 1, stage 2, and hopefully go have a shot to win this thing.
You mentioned being locked in. You come into this race with 4 straight top 3 finishes, including 2 wins. Does something like this break the momentum this team has found?
This is our one mulligan. We found it in practice before qualifying, and yes, we had to start at the back, but at least it wasn't in the race. So hopefully we can find it here, diagnose it, fix it, and go get another top 5 finish, if not another win, and keep the momentum on our side going into the round 8.
Should be fun to see these guys march through the field here this afternoon, guys.
Interested to see exactly if they are able to repair it, or if they have to change the engine. You see a great lap here by Allgaier, and he chooses to use the banking, a more traditional route. I like.
Pit road hard.
Top of the board for Allgaier.
I don't know where he made up all his time, but he has whipped the field so far.
I will tell you, it would look like a little bit everywhere during that interview. We were kind of watching it.
Half second over second place, his teammate Josh Berry.
Well, and that put Jeb Burton in 6th, right? So we start talking about this playoff picture, what everyone has to do. Now there's Jeb, who currently is not going to advance into the next round. We'll see. He has the opportunity to go out and improve his mark. Creed in 3rd would be advancing.
5 from this group, 5 from the next group, 10 to race for pole position following the first 2 rounds here.
Chandler Smith is also trying to figure out a little bit, just looking for speed. You see it's kind of everywhere. The car doesn't look out of shape, not making any big mistakes, which I almost can appreciate this. You know, Chandler will be the first guy to say, hey, I'm not going to be the best road courser out here, but I'm going to come give it my best. Don't have us start 35th. Like, just run the lap that you can run, that the car can run. With 6 minutes, get this lap in the book and go run another lap and see if you can improve, but at least get one kind of set.
Yeah, I think just a solid day is all that they're looking for. You know, this isn't a time that need to be spectacular. Let's wait till next week let's make it through this round, go to Las Vegas next week where we know that he's very capable of running up front and challenging for a win.
Chandler starts today plus 32 to the cut line, so it's a decent place to be.
Right there, it's 7th, right?
Yeah.
So to your plus 32, we're going to start hopefully inside the top 20 when we look at both rounds kind of get pushed together.
Connor Daly, the car was not destroyed. Great news. And he's going to lay down a lap here in the 53 car.
Well, if that was a missed shift, then that's the quickest repair I've ever seen. It had to be more to it than that. I mean, because you can't, if it was a missed shift and a broken engine or a valve spring, the car couldn't be repaired. So something else must have been the
Had to
issue.
be a line like you were talking about, I believe.
I'm going to take back then that we said he missed a shift. We'll take that back off the driver.
Second start of the year, Indianapolis Road Course was his first. Actually, his first and only career start in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
You know, the name you don't see on the pylon on the left side is Boris Said, because he's currently 21st.
Taking a ride with Connor Daly with Emerling Gase Motorsports. 2 cars in the field, the 53 and the 35. Connor has stated over and over again he'd like to do more of this. That's a lot of bounce there, Steve, in that left front.
Yeah, so basically the rear springs, that's actually from the back of the car. They're running softer in the back for that grip in the road course area. So when he turns, the back travels. And think about a table. I know it's complicated, but a car is really 4 legs like a table. And if you cut a leg short and it goes down, the other leg comes in the air. And that's what you're seeing right there. The left rear is the short leg, and the right front keeps flying in the air. Which is interesting, because from the IndyCar side, I would expect Daly would be a little more comfortable with a firmer platform. You know, thing that doesn't move as much. I know they don't really, equate to one another, but he already has way softer tires. I wouldn't put soft springs on top of a soft tire. I think it'd be hard for him to feel the car.
This is the Sam Hunt Racing car number 24, on which we see the Sherry Pollock's tribute this weekend. Connor Mosack behind the wheel. Let's ride.
Connor's known for his road course. That's kind of where he started his career.
I'm just still trying to think that I don't think I ever described my car as a table at any point in time.
I used to have to argue with the drivers when they tell me the tire's not working. I'm like, well, the other three are connected. Trust me.
It does make sense, though, yes. There's a lot of work around this. You know, we talk about the different road courses and, you know, how Sonoma's different than Watkins Glen and so on and so forth with everywhere else that you go now. But there's a lot of work in this road course because of the different type surfaces, I think, is one of the big things.
I think this infield is one of the most technical sections we see anywhere. I mean, you hear, listen to the gas. Pretty hard on the gas here. When he leaves this next right, though, listen to how much he has to work the throttle. There's a lot of feel there. There's really no right or wrong way. It's how are you going to get through there? And what we see in the race here is not a lot of passing on the infield because I'm faster than you. It's a lot of I pester you, DJ, until you finally make a mistake.
Right, yes.
A couple of top 10s for Connor this year on the road courses, an 8th at Portland, and a strong 5th at Watkins Glen International. What did he do? Oh, so close, 7th.
He's going to keep going, though, on the racetrack. I don't know if he'll go faster or not. Here's that 17 of Boris Said, currently 21st out of 21, so he's going to have to find a little bit of something. And we talk about a short practice for a driver who hasn't been in a car in quite some time. This is a lot to ask in a short practice. I mean, you see it right there, 7/10 of a second in the front stretch chicane alone.
Boris, 61 years young, has raced just about everything around the world. Got his start back here in NASCAR. And Steve, back when he started, when he started back in NASCAR, taught a lot of drivers what to do. Was very free with the information in the early days and helped a lot of guys get faster.
And what you're seeing here is not a knock on Boris Said at 61 years old. What this is a compliment to the depth of the field, because there was a time in NASCAR where Boris could get in with no practice and easily be mid-pack, and the more practice, the faster he would become. But seeing him currently over 3 seconds off just shows you how good, back to our original conversation, all these drivers, road courses are not just two blips on the radar in the circuit anymore. This is part of NASCAR racing, and you have to get it figured out.
And Steve, to add to that, Boris talked about the difference into him coming into the Xfinity Series this weekend is that we used to talk about him being a road course ringer. That was back in the days when there were hours and hours of practice to help him be competitive. So that was one of his worries this weekend, the lack of practice time and coming in here not knowing exactly what he was going to need out of the car.
So Boris continues cycling. You see Jeb Burton is on track there in the 27 car, plus 2 seconds to the fast time, or to the 5th place time of Alex LeBay, and he is going to bail right there. So another playoff driver in not too bad a shape. 9th right now, but wanted better.
I think that's a great way to put it, right? Not a panic situation, but for sure wanted better. Because now you have to ask yourself, as a driver who thought he might have a chance of scoring points, now you're far enough back that if a lot of guys make that decision to stay out near the end of stage 1, the 27 might be forced into another strategy.
Yeah. Jeb is 19 points off of the cut line coming into today's race.
Boris is in the infield section trying to finish this lap. He's coming downhill here, turn 7, turn 8 combination. You see the lap time. That's going to be about a 1:25. That's not really going to improve him on the board.
Yeah, and I can remember back, you talk about when Boris came onto the scene. Yeah, he was at every, you see a little smoke. I saw this the last time whenever he was back on the banking in his last lap. But he used to always be at every test session. You know, he would go test on track. You see him lock up the right front there just a little bit. But he was very well prepared when it came time. And this just looks like not being in the car. The cars are completely different, too, than what he's actually been racing through the years.
And there's for sure some smoke out of the back of the 17. I don't want to speculate if it's tire smoke or oil smoke, but I mean, you could see it for sure smoking. Well, it's definitely not tire smoke because it wouldn't be smoking under slow conditions. So this looks like some sort of oil leak of some sort, which is definitely not adding grip. And now that the session has ended and Boris said being the slowest, we're just going to have to see how the qualifying lines up.
I want to talk about a new entry this weekend from Doug Peterson. This is Andy Lally behind the wheel. I'll tell you a little bit more about that, Steve. We got some highlights of Andy going over the bumps here.
Yeah, we talked about
chicane.
Yeah, so the blue curbing is just, we call them the turtles. They're gigantic, and you see why they're there. They're really trying to force the drivers to run the track as designed. Now, at Watkins Glen, they're much lower. You can use them. Here at the Roval, you just don't want to use them, and Andy Lally is trying to use them all. Rear wheel lock up, super committed, bail out, so comes to a stop. Not worried about it now because his lap will be disallowed, but in the race, you'll have to come to a complete stop in that back chicane, or you can actually choose to do it on the front stretch as well. You just have to do it the lap in which you had an issue.
Talked to this group yesterday in the garage area. Peterson would like to field this car next year some, maybe just at the road courses, but they currently race in Trans Am. They've got 3 full-time entries in the TA2 class there, and wanted to come check NASCAR out. Bought a couple of fresh cars from RCR. Andy Lally said they're probably the best cars that he's raced in a long time in NASCAR. So he was 20th in single lap times in practice. DJ just didn't get the qualifying lap he was looking for.
Yeah, you know, it's always so difficult, but you know, when they come in to try to start a team and they got a good driver, Andy Lally is always performing at whatever he's been able to get in. I won't say that qualifying was his forte, but you put him in the race, he's as good as anybody out there.
That was one of the things the team said. They didn't want to put a young kid in there who might mess up the playoffs for the others and might not get the program the kind of information they need, and he certainly can provide that.
We got the information on the 53. It was a transmission line leak. So because of the shifting, they have to run a cooler. So they had a line leaking on the 53. That's why they were able to repair it. Kim.
Justin Allgaier, top of the board for Group A. You said let's just end it now. What do you have for the second round of qualifying?
I mean, I guess that's the unknown, right? Just first of all, really proud of everybody at Junior Motorsports. I mean, to be 1-2 right now, to have, you know, 4 really fast Junior Motorsports Camaros is a good thing. You know, we got a beautiful looking car this week with the Brandt Foundation, you know, as well as Brandt Professional Agriculture, and it's fast. So, I mean, that's the name of the game. The second round is always tough because you don't know how much to give in that first round. I was actually a little disappointed. I felt like I maybe used a little more of the tire than I wanted to in that first round, just to make sure that you're safe. You know, you never know, you know, who's going to pull out a really good lap qualifying. But obviously the goal is to be as fast as Xfinity 10G. We've done that so far. Now I just got to go do it again and again and again and again. But I love this race. I love this track. You know, you never really know what to expect when you come here. I feel like today has been very unique and odd in how practice has gone and how qualifying has gone so far. So, you know, I'll be interested to see what the race looks like. But if it stays as calm as it is right now, it's going to be a good day.
All right, and the good news is they have nothing to worry about, already locked into the next round.
He just jinxed us. If it stays it's calm, there's no chance. We're going to have 10 yellows now.
I think he was being funny.
Yeah.
Funny and fast. Look at that. Wow. A nice lap compared to the others. Half a second better than his teammate Josh Berry. Alex Lebay advances, and you see Chandler Smith and Jeb Burton, the other playoff drivers in yellows. Top 10, they did not advance to the second round. And Junior Motorsports will be represented in Group B as well. Sam Mayer among them. I'm showing you a couple of moments in qualifying here. This is Jeb Burton's bailing out right after this. So I don't know if he might have found some. How about that, Steve?
I think what happened is we saw the smoke out of the back of the 17.
Yeah.
And I think he put some fluid on the racetrack because now we're seeing some speedy drive being put down. The 27 was one of the next cars through. So this is one of the struggles to group qualifying, right, is single car. They would probably throw in the yellow after a car smoked, check the track. But with the group out there together, you know, that's just part of it. People can pull debris up there. People can put fluid down. So we'll get Kim to go tell Jeb. It's not as bad as he thinks. There was a little bit of fluid back there that they're cleaning up.
But here's the issue as the second group gets ready to come out. Nobody wants to be the first ones out there. They're going to try to clean this up. But I'm sorry. You do not want to be that person or that group that goes out there to try to clean this off.
Congrats, DJ. You're going to get 3 or 4 minutes off. We're going to watch 4 or 5 cars before we decide about going out there.
Let's talk about track cleanup. Steve, the material they're putting down is to soak things up. Then, of course, the vacuum sweeper truck takes it away, but it's still not grippy when they get out there.
No, it's going to be dusty and dirty. And, you know, in the race, it's not a big issue because 38 cars through there really one time will rubber this right in. But in qualifying, you know, you're not going to get 38 cars through it until 7 or 8 minutes into this. So, you know, it just takes a long time to get back to full grip. In your street car, you would drive right over it. It would feel totally fine. But you just aren't to the level of grip or the edge of grip that these drivers are attempting to find. And now you have to wonder if the 17 was putting fluid down. We talked a lot about Boris and his experience in the race car, but I think it's a little unfair to judge what he had for speed, because if there was enough fluid coming out of his car that had to be cleaned up, depending on where it was coming out. Now, if it was out of the rear end, probably not on his rear tires, but anything forward of the rear end is going under his own rear tires, making driving this car even more difficult. And this goes back to a driver without a lot of experience, because someone like John Hunter could say, hey, we have an issue. This thing has less grip than I've ever felt in my life. Poor Boris said he doesn't know what is an acceptable amount. I'm sure he's questioning his own ability, where he is, you know, experience-wise compared to these other guys, and now you have to wonder how much of it was induced by the mechanical issue.
This afternoon, the NASCAR Xfinity teams will take to the track for 250K.
Yeah, so here's a look at the 17 going through there. It's hard to really see much.
You got her pretty sideways right there.
Well, he's definitely, you know, he's struggling with rear grip. There's no doubt. Yeah, you can see a little bit of that smoke trailing behind the car. Never good. Well, let's hear from the man that was behind the wheel. Kim, what does Boris think about his ride?
Well, let's find out. We saw that smoke coming out of your car. What happened out there?
Well, unfortunately, you know, in the HendrickCars.com Chevy Camaro, I was coming up to speed, you know, kind of easy. I haven't been in a car for a while. And the first practice, we had a mechanical in the rear end. And, you know, the way things are now, so close, you have to have the car ready to go out, you know, right when it's things. So you only had about 12 minutes, so we couldn't quite fix it. So I went out and just got a lap in. Then the boys did the best job they could fixing it and did a good job, but it's not quite 100%. But I'm disappointed. I mean, Rick Hendrick gave me an unbelievable opportunity in this HendrickCars.com Chevy Camaro, and you know, it was going to be my last race and having fun. And you know, unfortunately, it just didn't work out for me. I mean, you know, stuff happens in racing. That's all you can do about it. But you know, hopefully all the fans and my 10,000 teammates at Hendrick Automotive will still cheer for us and still go on the website if you ever want to buy a car. And hopefully I get a chance to hopefully make the race maybe, but it doesn't look good.
What was the biggest surprise during practice in terms of the track and what you were dealing with out there?
Well, it's funny. I've never been to this track. I've been to every track in the world. And so, you know, I was just kind of coming up to speed, you know, because I didn't want to make a mistake because you don't have that much time. And I thought things were okay. We're going to make a few handling changes and tighten it up for me. And I felt confident I'd be able to go a lot faster. But unfortunately, I didn't get the chance. And, you know, that's how it goes in racing. But, you know, being 61 and getting the opportunity to do this, you know, I had my Monster Energy this morning. I still feel like a 30-year-old. So it's still, even running last is still fun, but it's disappointing because I had such a great car.
So a Monster Energy for breakfast for Boris. Do you follow that diet, Steve?
No, that one, I mean, I'll take a good cup of coffee, but that's a little aggressive for me. You know, I like Boris. I hate that this happened because he has been great for NASCAR and racing. Remember the Said Heads used to wear the wigs and come cheer him on at Watkins Glen. And when I talked to him this morning, he was just enthusiastic about having this opportunity. And I would have been okay if he just wasn't fast enough. But you hate that the opportunity to prove his, you know, talent and his ability was kind of taken away from him. But you saw the interview. This is a guy that's seen a lot of ups and downs. He's seen the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and he just said, DJ, you know, hey, that's racing, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm still trying to get past the fact that you trying to put across that a cup of coffee.
Well,
that's a cup every 15 minutes, maybe,
you know,
or something like that.
Steve's coffee equals 1 Monster Energy by the time it's over.
Fair.
Right?
Oh,
That's
gosh.
fair. And you can just see the kind of the smoke, that little bit of haze behind the rear tire. I mean, that is just, you know, that's what happens. It takes away grip. And he said they found this issue in practice, which was also the issue because that's, you know, took away practice time.
Yeah.
So barring a miracle, he was last in Group A. Barring a miracle, he will probably not start the race this afternoon, which is Sad, but we will see. They were one of the teams that had to qualify on time. So we mentioned this afternoon, NASCAR Xfinity Series from the Roval. It's also a Cup Series weekend. The Bank of America Roval 400 tomorrow.
When you combine the road course into this racetrack, what does it mean? It means walls everywhere.
I creamed the wall.
Oh!
It's just right behind us.
Leaders reckon, get low, get low, get low.
We just drove off into a 90-degree wall for something to do.
He gets into the wall! Race leader!
Everyone's fuses seem to be shorter than ever.
Hold the brake.
What the f***? Who hit me?
Chase Briscoe has spun in the backstretch. Got a big pile up at the rear of the field. Oh, he's
And he's
spinning!
gonna slide!
Don't let him take you out here. Damn it.
Ryan Blaney will win!
Let's go, boys, yes!
Look at that. Kyle Larson. He will win at the Charlotte Roval.
Briscoe with a huge drive into the rear chicane. Christopher Bell came into Charlotte needing a miracle, and he found one.
We live on, boys!
Christopher Bell with the mic drop last year. Not quite in the same position this year. Got a little cushion, plus 22 to the cut line here. A couple of guys already locked in, DJ.
Yeah, but there are others that are in the position Christopher Bell was last year, and can they make that miracle happen tomorrow? It's going to be just an exciting race. A lot of people, a lot of agendas. You know, we look at these 12 right here, and that's who we're thinking about because we want to see the 8. We know 2 that are going to transfer. Who are the other 6 that are going to join them? But there's so many others in this field tomorrow that a race win would be huge to them. Yeah, they don't care about the playoffs and these drivers. Yeah, they understand what's going on, but a victory would be exceptional to them to be able to go grab that. And you can start with Chase Elliott, who's been outstanding here, but this year hasn't been what he was looking for. But tomorrow could ease a lot of the pain of what 2023 has brought.
We expect the Roval to deliver again. Here's how you can tune in and make sure you catch every lap tomorrow and today, of course. Practice and qualifying coming up at noon on the NBC Sports app. It'll conclude on the USA Network starting at 12:30. And then, of course, the playoff race this afternoon for the Xfinity Series. That's at 3 on NBC and Peacock. And then tomorrow, all NBC. Countdown to Green, 2 p.m., followed by the playoff race. Kim is standing by with Andy Lally.
I am, so let's find out what he thought about his qualifying effort.
That was a tough one. I got to give a big thanks to Doug Peterson and all the guys that have been hustling on this. But it's my first time in an Xfinity car since I was here last year, and we just struggled to drive off. So I know we're in a danger zone right now. I'd hate that for Doug not to be able to make his first race in the debut with the 3dimensional.com car here. But yeah, I'm racking my brain trying to figure it out. This is a tricky place, low grip. You're taking a heavy, high CG, high horsepower car into a really tight section of road course, and I think the biggest thing we need is drive off, and we could use a little. Everybody's going to be understeering here a little bit, but man, this is going to be a tough 20 minutes here waiting it out. I know Mr. Pemberton, Mr. Houston, Mr. Peterson, Chris, and the guys here that have been hustling on this. Man, I'm going to be crossing my fingers here.
You mentioned it being a tricky course. All 23 of your Xfinity Series starts have come on road courses, including 2 at the Roval. What kind of skill set does this track necessitate?
You've got to be really quick with giving feedback to your crew, because this is not, you don't take your Watkins Glen or your Indianapolis setup here. You know, this is quite a different struggle because it's such a tight radius corner and it's such a difficult thing here. I'm thrilled to get this practice time, because I'm going to get back to my Camping World car here and be able to hopefully talk with our guys and have that little fresh course in here. And yeah, we're going to try to figure this out. You need a car that's going to turn, cut without hurting the power down. So the short answer, that's what you need. That's always a tricky thing in a NASCAR stock car. So yeah, we'll see.
Now it's the waiting game for Andy Lally and this team.
And Kim, he mentioned the Camping World car. He will race tomorrow in the 15 car for Rick Ware Racing. Cup Series schedule was announced this week along with Xfinity and Trucks. So, Steve, a little bit of different look to it.
Yeah, the regular season over at our friends on Fox, right? It starts at the Clash, which we've seen, Daytona. Then we pick up some of the regular season. We have a break for the Olympics. We have Iowa to kick off. We haven't seen Iowa for the Cup Series. Ends at Darlington on Labor Day weekend. And then we head into the round of 16, DJ.
Oh, my. Yes, we do. Atlanta, which has become a drafting track. We know that handling's becoming an issue, but you can see a lot of the schedule as we get in the latter half of the playoffs, a lot of the same things that you will see this year as we wrap this up. But interesting schedule. Hey, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I will appreciate and encourage all the fans to go to Atlanta and watch that race. I'm going to watch it from my sofa. I like warm weather, and you don't know what you might get down there.
It's definitely not going to help grip.
Yeah.
This isn't going to help grip either.
No, it isn't.
We had showed the backstretch chicane, but I believe what's happened is a little bit of oil everywhere. I've seen it dumped on the banking, some places in the infield. So remember everything that we heard Andy Lally talking about for grip and turn and acceleration? It's going to do all that worse in the current situation. Now, the track workers are doing a great job, but I mean, there's only so much you can do. They're going to try to put this speedy dry down and then broom it in, but you see the kind of the haze that leaves on the racetrack.
Oh.
You know the 3 minutes you were going to get off, DJ, you can now get 6 or 7 off. We're going to wait right. Now, the bad news is you're only going to get 1 or 2 laps to get this figured out.
Yep.
But I'm sorry, we're going to wait to the end.
Yep.
Well, and Justin Allgaier's fast time in the first group there, that may be the fastest time of the day we see.
Oh, by far. Yeah. I think it will be, no doubt.
So this is actually good news, though, for Chandler Smith and Jeb Burton, because let's talk about how this works. The top 5 from Group 1, the top 5 from Group 2 will run to set the top 10. Everyone who didn't advance gets dumped back into a bucket. And their lap times aren't compared just to their groups. They're compared to everyone.
Yep.
So for Chandler Smith and Jeb Burton, who are 8th and 9th respectively in their group, if this second group has playoff cars that struggle, they may start behind those. So for everyone's unfortunate situation, somebody else gets the right side.
Yeah, it's not just inside and outside lane
right
here. Yes.
Kim, Alex Lebay transferred.
Right, he did, 5th on the charts, and when I asked him how he felt, he said he was disappointed. He wanted to be closer to his practice time. You were 2nd on the board for practice, so what can you do differently in the second round of qualifying to get you closer to where you want to be?
Just try to attack a little harder. I really wanted to get a clean lap in. I felt like it was really solid. I didn't think Justin was going to put me 9/10, but we'll try to get a little bit more out of it in the second round. At least we got a shot at it, so really happy, guys. It's the first time I run this exact car, so it's a really good race car, and I hope we can compete for the win here this afternoon.
We always look to you to be competitive at the road courses, but this is a cutoff race in the playoffs. So how respectfully do you have to race the other drivers who are going after a title?
Oh, for sure, it's going to be a little different, and there's some guys that have that really got to win the race, so I feel like they're probably going to be a little bit more desesperated. So we're just going to try to do our little thing, try to stay out front and stay out of the mess and be there at the end.
We'll see what Alex can do in the second round of qualifying.
NASCAR Pinty's champion from St. Albert, Quebec. Glad that he is in the race this afternoon. We'll see how he does. He's going to study the notes.
You were like the old Actor announcer there, American Canadian Tour. That's where I grew up, the late model American Canadian Tour. You had the accent down, Dave. You'd have been good.
I try my best.
I like it.
Oh, by the way, Steve, kickball Thursday?
Thursday night at the Kannapolis Cannonballers Stadium. You see Hemrick was out there. Burton and Kyle Petty were coaches. I was a coach of the championship Celsius team there. There's a little 00, just a little bit of a strut. You know, I was also had to play catcher. You see me back there working hard. Parker was in it. This might be the big, that was Anthony Alfredo, Parker Kligerman. I think Parker overdrove turn 1, and then had to come out for injury, which put in Carson Hocevar. I think that was strategy. But in the end, Team Celsius with the aforementioned Corey LaJoie was the championship, and they raised a lot of money for the Rowan Cabarrus YMCA and Samaritan's Feet, a charity that is very near and dear to Corey LaJoie, providing shoes. It was a great job. It was super well organized, and I have to really applaud the entire garage area. We're talking, and I'm going to leave people out, but Ryan Blaney was there. I talked about Hocevar. Parker was there. Stenhouse was there. I mean, so many people come out, and that is really just a NASCAR. He also has some great comedians, some great influencers, some people I didn't know, and I met this one gentleman. He was on my team, and so what do you do? I'm a podcaster. So I went home, and my daughter was like, he was on your team. He has 2 million Instagram followers. So it was just a great event, a great time, and if you are in town for the races, the Cannonballers Stadium in Kannapolis. DJ, you watch a lot of baseball with your son. You ever been to that stadium? It's a nice stadium.
Yeah, and they built that after my son Zach had gone through there with the team he played. So, but I understand it's just phenomenal. So applaud them and everybody for going out there. You know, we used to have a softball game back in the day. Earnhardt would play. I'm talking Dale Sr. would come play in the. So it was interesting to get people in another environment, but a lot of fun for a great cause.
And I'm going to tell you, had to give my team a little pep talk because they were trying to hurt each other. You know, and I'm like, guys, injuries are going to be no. The other thing is Zane Smith. I like my man Zane, but you'd be amazed how little sports race car drivers watch. We had to go over base running rules. When the ball goes in the air, less than 2 outs, you're going to stay on the base. You can't run. So.
No kickball for DJ, but a couple of weeks ago got to throw out the first pitch and do some BP with the Diamondbacks, DJ.
Yeah, so this started out throwing out the first pitch, and then they talked to me about would I take batting practice, and I'm like, you know, I haven't done this in a long time. At 66 years old, this was a lot different than the last time I did it at about 45 or 46. And but at least the catcher did not have to move with the throw there. They wouldn't let me get back on the mound. I was going to throw him my fastball, and I did, which is about 40 miles an hour. So
that's the high hard
They were
one
all
anymore,
great.
huh?
Hey, the D-backs made it through the first round of the playoffs. Now they play again today, albeit they have to play the Dodgers, tall order. But you know they played well against the Dodgers, so it's kind of fun living in Arizona now. You know it's great and a lot of excitement around them.
Well done for sure. Waiting for Group B in qualifying to roll off for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. The cleanup continues from fluid laid down on the track all over the track.
So we have Allgaier sitting here. He was fastest. Barry, Creed, Austin Hill. They're feeling good about their laps. They're just waiting for the final round. Custer, Mayer, Hemrick, Sammy Smith. Nemechek has yet to run, but he won't run. They went to the garage. I'm listing the playoff drivers. And Parker Kligerman, the other playoff driver who's yet to get a qualifying attempt in. So they're going to be in the second round here. Extended track cleanup, though, Dave, for sure.
Well, and that has changed things, Steve. NASCAR has looked at that, and they said with the time added to do all of that, they're not going to have a final round. So this is going to be it. Group B goes out now in these conditions, which we said are not optimal, and their times are going to have to stand against Group A.
This is why I came to TV for moments like this, because at this point I'd be mad and losing my mind and probably invited to the truck and reminded that it's a great job to have. I say that because, you know, these guys are not going to get the same track that the first group had. Now, I do believe it will be okay for the last 3 or 4 minutes, but if it's me, I am waiting as long as I can to go out there and run a lap. But it's scary because then if you have an issue or we see a yellow flag, your lap may not count. But I think Kim has caught up with one of the playoff drivers who ran in the first round.
Down here chatting with Jeb Burton. I know not the qualifying lap you wanted. What happened out there? Describe the track conditions.
The first lap was probably a bigger moment than the second lap. I got really loose. And the two right-handers over there before you get on the track, but wasn't a bad lap for us. We picked up. The next time I got really loose over there in the chicane. Thought maybe I broke something in the front end or something, but I guess you told me some oil was down or something, so just ready for today. We got our work cut out for us. We dug ourselves in a little hole, unfortunately, but the Fly Alliance Career Tank Lines car looks awesome, and I feel like we gained a lot there, so excited for today. Got a lot of supporters coming, and no matter what happens today, our team has done a really good job all year. We're a little team, and we've done a lot with a little, and I feel like we get better every week. So just proud of them and excited for today, and we'll see what happens.
You'll start outside the top 10, obviously, but now that we see stage cautions back, how will that benefit you guys and what you need to do here this afternoon?
For sure. I think I was talking to some people this morning, and I think we need to do whatever they do, we need to do the opposite. So I was hoping it was going to be raining today. That would throw in another curveball and even the playing field a little bit, but just excited, ready to go. There are going to be some wrecks today. There are going to be some crazy stuff going on. There's some other guys in here that don't usually race with us trying to prove something too, so it's not over yet. So stay tuned, we'll see what happens.
It's a great attitude, and not only is there no rain in sight, there's absolutely no clouds here at all at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
It's a gorgeous day. It's going to be a little chilly tonight, and conditions will be far different tomorrow for the Cup Series race as you look at Jeb's car there.
So now that we know there'll be no final round, now take all of that top 5 talk and throw it out the window. Now it's just a comparison. Everybody gets blended together. So currently, Justin Allgaier is a provisional pole sitter until we see more cars go on the racetrack. Josh Berry's sitting second, Creed third, Hill fourth. We'll see if anybody in this second round can best these lap times. I don't think the track is heating up very much. It's just a question of how well the oil dry got cleaned up and how long the drivers in the second round are willing to wait.
Well, if the pole trophy meant that you need to engrave a name, I think the guy could go on and start his work. I'm going to give Justin Allgaier the pole for this race. I just don't see how somebody goes out. Yeah, Allgaier said he wished that it was over when Kim was talking. It is. He laid down a lap. I'm not sure it was going to be bested anyway because it's just phenomenal. But I think it's going to be even more difficult now with the circumstances.
And now if you're those, I'm sorry, David, those other drivers like a Sammy Smith or a Kligerman, you know that, you know, anytime you improve, you're going to continue to move up, even if you're in the top 5, which is a little different. You wonder about like Alex Labay. He only ran 1 lap and he's sitting 5th. You know, did he have the ability to go out and go faster? I don't think he had 9/10 of a second to get to Justin Allgaier. That would have been a stretch. But, you know, he's only a 10th off Austin Hill. He's 3/10 off Sheldon Creed. You know, they didn't go run another run expecting to have a second round.
Kaz Grala, fast in practice, is in this group. Cole Custer, Sam Mayer, Justin's teammate. They've got a shot.
So let's just talk about the why, because, okay, so we have an Xfinity Series race later today on NBC. There's very little gap between Cup practice qualifying situation, which goes right up against the Xfinity Series race. This track cleanup has taken so much time. You know, as we talk about the schedule, you just talked about it, Dave, right? Filling up a day for the race fan to come out to the track, to buy a ticket, to have a full entertainment day. That's the idea, but the problem with those, we see this at New Hampshire, places that run a lot of races. If you get a little delay, you have to start cutting corners. NASCAR, this is in the entry blank. They have the ability to go to 1 round. You know, all of these things are built in for just such an occasion.
Doesn't make crew chiefs any happier, though, does it?
Doesn't make them any happier, but I will say that I'm a true believer that if you run for the whole year, sometimes you're at the right side, sometimes you're at the wrong side of these breaks. And I'm thankful they told them now and not after qualifying. So, you know, I think this group that's going out on a dirtier track, because listen, the clock's counting down. So it's easy to say wait. But at some point, DJ, I know you're not sitting in that car feeling any good about your lap. You want to get out there and do it. You're probably antsy to get on the racetrack.
Well, there's not too many out here that are antsy to get on the track.
No, until you see that smoke.
This is, you know, if you remember back to the first session as we started qualifying and that clock had started, we saw a lot of cars, probably at least 15 of the cars that were out there. I think I'm counting maybe 3 that are out here right now.
I'll give you 2.
Preston Pardus is on the track in the 50 car, sometime competitor for his own home team that owns that car. That is Devin Jones, trying to make his first start in the series in the 74 for.
Maybe that was somebody driving through the infield that I saw.
Well, Alex Gwinnett was trying.
They're trying to help clean off the track.
He went to the end of pit road and just stopped.
Alex Gwinnett in the 35. He'll be out shortly, we believe. But yeah, this is Preston Pardus time. Preston, his dad was a ARCA and Xfinity Series driver, Dan, and of course Preston has made his way through the MX-5 ranks, the Mazda MX-5 series in IMSA, which is a great racing series.
They're so fun to watch, aren't they, Dave? Like every race is a speedway race, even on a road course.
So that's where Preston kind of got his chops, and now has made a bunch of starts here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and trying to show up well here on the oval. He says, I'll go out. I'll dust it off for you guys.
Yeah, you mentioned this will be attempted to be his 5th start of the season.
He's from Florida. During the week, works for his dad. They provide, should we call it, infrastructure services to cities. New Smyrna Beach is where they're located in Florida.
And I can go ahead and let everybody know that sitting on pit road waiting, these 2 cars aren't going to make the track too much better. Just as much as they wish and all of us hope for, it's just, I'm sorry, 2 cars going through there because, you know, they're not going to run the exact line that you're going to and want to, and enough to really clear it. It's going to be somewhat better.
Here's Devin Jones racing for Clayton Harmon Keller Racing, and glad to be in this ride. Stock car path when he was young. It's too expensive, so he got into the aforementioned MX-5 series, was his next foray into racing. And last year, back full-time in road course racing after a big accident in 2021. So was glad to see him back. Talked to him yesterday, didn't have a whole lot going on this year. In fact, he said, this is the first time I'll be in a competitive series in 2023, so hoping to put the 74 car in the show.
Yeah, DJ, one car is, I mean, he's trying to clean it up the best he can, but it's not going to help. So as you see that clock run down, let's talk about the rules. You have to start your lap with the clock still having time on it. You don't have to finish your lap. So if you assume you leave pit road, you have to run an out lap all the way down to the middle of turns 13, 14. I figure that's going to take probably a minute 30, a minute 25 probably. Maybe a little less. So you probably need to leave pit road with, 2 minutes, a minute 30 left on the clock. So with 10 minutes left, someone's going to have to go at some point.
Yeah, and so again, that's not here at the start-finish line. It's over in the middle of 3 and 4 where you activate the clock.
I'll show you that line in just a minute here as Devin Jones completes another lap.
Yeah, he's going to show us the line as we see, 3 or 4 cars rolling off pit road. Here we go. We're starting to get a little bit.
Yeah, and I said turns 3 and 4. I'm thinking oval again.
NASCAR 3 and 4, right?
Yeah.
Oval 3 and 4. Mm-hmm.
All right, so this will make a difference.
Oh, now
Kyle
we're
Weatherman
getting
in
some
the
action.
4, Ryan Ellis in the 43, and there was Gannett in the 35. Here is Myatt Snyder, the treetop car for Joe Gibbs Racing. That Toyota has been fast all year long. In fact, they told me this is the car that Ty Gibbs won in at the Indy Road Course, so it's got good pedigree.
Yeah, Myatt very capable of doing it. We talk about, he's an excellent race driver, but he's done so much road racing that when he comes to this, he feels very comfortable, and we see him run in the top 5 a lot.
Yeah, spent some time over in Europe in the NASCAR Euro Series, and it's just, when we say someone is good at road course racing, some of it I think fits their natural ability, their hands and feet, and what they feel in a race car. But more often than not, it comes down to just reps. I mean, they just run a lot of road courses. I know this is hard to believe, but driving a car, just like hitting a baseball or a golf ball or anything else, practice and reps makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and he loves to drive and wants to be in the car as much as he possibly can. But today, I think it's probably just not having to work with his dad again down on pit road that he gets a break from that a little bit. Just kidding, Marty.
Myatt has stayed fresh by working with Marty on pit road this year, so it's been good to have him around, but better to see him back behind the wheel.
Yes, it is.
Here's Kaz Grala. We mentioned earlier that he had a very fast car for Sam Hunt Racing, teammate to Connor Mosack in the Sherry Pollock's tribute car. And he was looking good, top 5 in his practice session.
So we're hearing from NASCAR, while this will be basically no final round of qualifying, the one thing that will remain the same is the top 5 from Group 1 and the top 5 from Group 2 will make up the top 10. So they'll be blended together to start in the top 10 spots. And then the cars that aren't in the top 5 will then get put back into what I call like a general population, and they will all be blended together as well. So that tells me that Alex LeBay, who was 5th in Group 1, will absolutely start in the top 5, even if he would be very slow compared to Group 2 and vice versa. So, the 2 top 5s go together to make 10. Everybody else goes together to make the rest of the field.
It's a lot of math, and all I know is Kyle Weatherman is fast. Look at Kyle Weatherman, top of the board for Johnny Davis Motorsports. Here comes Myatt Snyder to the line, and he'll go 4th.
Yeah, and that 124.1 to your, back to that original statement, that is 17th in the first group, right? So that 124.1 is, if it doesn't stay in the top 5, which I don't believe it will, he's going to start well outside the top 20, probably 27th to 30th in this race.
Sage Karam with a nice lap so far. 43 of Ryan Ellis as well. This is Joe Graff Jr. on track now in the 38 for RSS Racing.
We'll have to say that Kyle Weatherman's lap gives others hope. I mean, that's a better lap than I actually thought we might see at this point in time.
And again, if you're just joining us, there was a long track cleanup, made conditions perhaps not ideal for this entire group, or at least the early takers for qualifying runs here.
Dave, when I make mistakes in life, I want you to sell it. Because you put a nice spin on all the dumb things I could do, like, so I didn't mean to do this. Dave, could you tell everybody how I messed up? I mean, you put a nice spin to it.
I can be hired, Steve.
I like that. I like that.
Not ideal. I'm thinking
ideal.
what the different ways as a driver I'd be sitting down there thinking about what.
Oh, you'd be keying the radio, wouldn't you?
You know what we need? We need him riding around in our golf game, and he could describe our golf. So, Steve, that was not ideal. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Steven, that was suboptimal.
Yeah,
I'd like to
yeah.
try again. Yes.
All right, we got a couple playoff cars on the track now. As you see the 38 continuing, Joe Graff Jr., right? We have Parker Kligerman, Sammy Smith, Mayer on the track. Now we're starting to pick it up with under 6 minutes remaining.
Graff finishing his lap here through the backstretch. Chicane coming around the oval 3 and 4 to take the timing line. That line straight across. What will it be for Graff? He will end up
8th at the moment.
8th at the moment. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think most of the people and drivers that we see out on the track now, you're going to look at a couple of laps for him. Unless that first lap is just phenomenal, you're going to go ahead because you're not going to get another chance to go in the pit area and come back out and have time to make a lap from there.
Oops, Alex Gannett around.
When we saw the one of saying, oh boy, that is a bad spot.
Spotters activated their radios to everyone that was on track.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see here is just a little bit of, looked a little tight in the middle, a little loose off.
Yeah, and I'm not going to attribute that to anything that was on the track or anything like that.
Alex's third start in the series.
3 playoff drivers now. Upper left, the 1 of Sam Mayer. The right, the 18 of Sammy Smith. On board with the 48 of Parker Kligerman. All trending in the green. How much in the green, though? Because remember, this is compared to Weatherman's 123.2. To give you an idea, Alex Labey is the top 5. You see it on the bottom left. That's Group A times. So we want to see some mid-122s if you want to have a good lap. Sam Mayer trending the right way.
Yeah.
He's going to be down in the 122s. We can talk all we want about the track, but if he sets a fast time, excuses out the window. And Sam Mayer is trending to do that. I think he has a chance to catch his teammate right here. Oh, he does. He gets a great chicane. It's going to be really close. Sam Mayer for Allgaier. This might be Mayer. We'll see. Very, very close. We're looking for a 122.08, a 122.04. Fastest lap of the day for Sam Mayer.
I did not expect that. Yeah, yeah.
Tells me Junior Motorsports has got the road course stuff rolling.
Well, and Sam Mayer so confident on the road courses now after his first 2 career wins. Both came on such.
Kligerman to second in this group at a 122.6. That puts him in about 6th so far when you blend it back into Group 1. Custer just behind at a 122.7.
Stays out for another go around. Remember, these drivers finish their lap. They have the opportunity to head to pit road using the alternate timing line in oval 3 and 4. But as you saw, Custer stayed out. Hemrick stays out again. And this may be his first lap out.
Man, Sam Mayer, that is all that talk about track conditions. That's impressive.
122 flat for him, 122 flat for his teammate.
And Hemrick trending, I mean, right there with him. We're looking at less than a 10th with a lot of corners to go, but trending the right way. Jordan Taylor just 2 corners behind his teammate of Hemrick. Oh, look at that set of corners. That was really nice for Daniel.
Keeps him flicking in and out of the green right there, DJ.
Yeah, and he has his work cut out. From this point forward is where Sam Mayer really excelled in this lap against, especially against Allgaier and what we saw there. But you can see the time that he really picked up in the latter stages.
Jordan Taylor driving for Colleague Racing this weekend. You may remember him from his IMSA glory. He's been a champion there.
The chicane's important because a great chicane, and I think he has a chance to catch Sam Mayer, but the opposite. Gave up 2 tenths. You said it. He got through there really, really good. Sam Mayer, I mean, got through there really, really, really impressive.
The line. Oh, second.
Good lap.
Second in this group. So that's about 3rd overall. 4th overall.
The man he's racing, Parker Kligerman, he just beat him, so
that's correct.
That helps.
Jordan Taylor 6th, nice lap for him in his 3rd ever start. in NASCAR's National Series, has won each in Cup and Xfinity this year.
Tough. It's a tough spot for a guy like Jordan Taylor to be out here with playoff drivers because he races so much. He understands what's on the line. Great personality. Love to have him in the series. It's going to be hard, right? He understands the full-time guys, doesn't want to be involved in that.
Well, he's got his own championship. He's a long shot next week at Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta. There are some 188 points behind the Lexus guys, who have had a fantastic season. But off weekend for Jordan, why not?
Snyder's going to go out and see if the track conditions improved. He was one of the earlier cars. I think the track has definitely gotten better for the 19. And at this point, when you look at kind of playoff drivers, I mean, they're 1 through 4 in this group, 1 through 4 in the first group.
Smoked it just a little bit right there.
Trying to get everything that he can. And, you know, when you haven't done it in a while, Mike, it's been a while since Mike was in the car. So getting yourself back acclimated to actual on-track conditions and everything that brings. And then just the pressure of that, of wanting to do well because you don't get that many opportunities.
Well, you're driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. You're working with the winningest crew chief in the Xfinity Series, and Jason Ratcliffe. You're running 4 of the last 5 races this year, and you got some sim time this week. Mike told me yesterday he had sim time for this track and for Vegas, so confidence should be high, but you're right, the pressure is on.
I'm not sure I love the run in the apron in 3 and 4. It looks a little sketchy.
I haven't really seen where, I think we saw back in the first group, maybe it was Austin Hill, that it seemed like that it might have worked for him, but I haven't really seen anyone else that I thought, yeah, that was a great move.
That was a 124.01 for Snyder, which is going to put him probably 7th or 8th in the starting order.
Cascarala trying to improve on a 123.3, 8th overall, as he'll get to complete this lap. But the way the board looks now there on the left, it's going to be your pole time up there. It does appear for Sam Mayer. Just a couple cars left on
we
track.
talk a lot about Daniel Hemrick and Parker Kligerman and cut line. Let's not forget Sam Mayer is in a must-win situation. So if you're going to come in here now, why mathematically it's not a must-win at minus 34. It's going to take a lot of dominoes falling his way, and I don't believe the one car is going to care about points. I think they're going to pit before the stages. They're going to throw everything at it to try to win this race. His record on the road courses, Dave, you've pointed out multiple times, is very impressive. The confidence was already high. This for sure is not going to extinguish any of that.
Yeah, they could look at it that even if they go out and win the first 2 stages and put themselves back, trying to get a finish, even if they finish second in the race, then that might not be enough points-wise to get them where they want to be, which is inside that top 8. Kim?
And Sam Mayer put down a blistering lap to win his 2nd career pole. How important was that for what you guys have to do later in the race today?
Yeah, earlier I said that we have to stay ahead of all the carnage, and I guess that's the best place to be. This car obviously is as fast as Xfinity 10G, so we just got to keep it up front, keep it clean, play some strategy, we'll be all right.
What's going to be the biggest challenge throughout the course of the race?
Yeah, I think just being consistent. Like, I can't either get too far out and burn up my stuff or get too far back in the stuff. So it's just about being consistent, and obviously the organization is really, really fast. So we got good cars, just got to keep them up front.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sam Mayer will lead the field to green this afternoon in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Big smile came across his face there. Yeah, you did it. Nice time to do it. As we've mentioned a couple of times, must-win situation. So the top 10 look, Steve.
Well, the top 10 is going to be full of playoff drivers. You see them 1 through 8, all playoff drivers. Riley Herbst is going to be a year we wish he could have back because he's acting like a playoff driver in 9th. And how about Alex LeBay in 10th, DJ? Pretty impressive.
Very impressive to do that and come out here and, I think that it shows, though, just how much these playoff drivers, how much it means, and the job they knew that they had ahead of them and what to do, and no one more important than Sam Mayer right there.
And if you thought this was chaos, just wait for later, Dave. This was nothing.
You mean how we talked in the booth? Is that what you're talking about, the chaos here?
Well, a little bit of chaos everywhere. You know, the chaos kind of follows me around.
The Roval will deliver again this afternoon, but coming up next, you will find Cup Series practice and qualifying. That'll be noon Eastern on the NBC Sports app. They'll wrap it up on USA. And then 3 o'clock this afternoon, yes, this Xfinity Series cut-off race from right here at the Roval. And tomorrow, 2 o'clock on NBC, Countdown to Green. Little banging, little bouncing, but they got it through. And with a little shortened qualifying format, Sam Mayer is on pole for this afternoon's race here at Charlotte. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time.